Happy Thursday afternoon to everybody who's tuning in. If you are just catching up with us, my name's Jim Bachman. I'm with the Maryland Distillers Guild, and I am going to be joined by Charlie with Element Shrub in just a few minutes. I'm really looking forward to this talk. It's going to be great to learn a little bit about this very unique mixer for cocktails and non-alcoholic drink that's very refreshing on a hot day. I think we have a few more of those in our future. So despite this being the early shot for Labor Day, I think that everybody can find something great in this lineup to enjoy. So we'll get right to that in a couple of minutes. Before we start, I would like to let everybody know that Maryland's distilleries are open for business. Please support them when you can. I know things are crazy, but keep your mask on when you're going into those tasting rooms. Find out what the distilleries are up to, and check out our members online and learn more about what they're doing. You can visit us at marylandspirits.org for an update with all of our members about what they have going on. You can find their addresses, social media, and their website addresses all there. So please check it out, support your local distillery, and drink great Maryland spirits. Without further ado, Charlie, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Jim.
Thanks for joining me. I really, really appreciate this. It's great. I know everybody's busy and times are crazy with business right now. So thanks for taking a couple minutes out of your afternoon and telling me all about what you guys do.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So I've had a very limited exposure to shrubs in the past. I went to a oil and vinegar shop here in Frederick who hosted a shrub making night, and we made our own shrub and we had a cocktail with it, and it was awesome. And I was blown away by how great this this really like traditional, kind of an old school beverage was made, and how it could be appreciated. So can you tell us all about the shrub and why you're making them?
Yeah. So I think you are not the only one who has, not experienced shrubs until maybe recently. It is a funny thing, right? It's an old product in a way, but we are sort of bringing new life to it. Just very sort of simply, a shrub is vinegar, fruit, and sugar. For us, it's organic apple cider vinegar, whole fresh fruit, and organic cane sugar, and then different organic herbs and spices that we use to add a little bit of kind of complexity to the flavors. So, and I don't know. We started this, I guess, almost 6 or 7 years ago. We launched on my daughter's first birthday, and she'll be 7 in November. So we launched. The idea started when my wife was pregnant, actually, as a healthier non-alcoholic alternative to juices, sodas, cocktails. And what's really cool about it is it's got really simple ingredients. As I just said, it's got, apple cider vinegar, fresh fruit, a little bit of cane sugar, and different herbs and spices. And so, but it's got sort of this also, if you think about those ingredients as sort of a recipe, right? You've got your acid from the vinegar, sweetness from the fruit that, from the fruit itself, a little bit more sweetness from the sugar. And then, the different herbs and spices add different complexity. And so the goal for us was to kind of create these really unique flavor combinations that weren't available in other products and that just made kind of life easier. So all you had to do was add the shrub to seltzer water, and you have this sort of, I always describe it as like kombucha meets champagne, but without the alcohol, right? Like kind of tangy, refreshing, but still bubbly, and that sort of like special occasion feeling.
I really like that. So this really started out as just like a DIY way to have a healthy, fun drink that was more exciting than water.
Yeah, and actually at the same time my wife was pregnant, she also got involved in this group. We now live in Arlington, Virginia, but she got involved in this group when we were living up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, that foraged fruit from people's backyards. And so this really like typical Cambridge, Somerville like group that would just go around, knock on people's doors and say, hey, you've got a peach tree in your backyard. Can we pick all the peaches off? We're going to make peach pie, peach jam, peach jelly, you name it. And then we'll give 10% of whatever we make to you. And then the rest will just be split amongst the people that help pick and can and do all of that. So that's where we got our sort of master class in fruit preservation. And so during that time, we had made enough jam and jelly to feed an army. And so we were kind of exploring other ways to use the fruit. And some of the people in the group suggested shrubs. And so we just started experimenting, and just kind of those two worlds came together, and she was like, wow, this is really good. And like, I don't know, for me, I had always wanted to do something in the food and beverage world, and kind of having a product like this seemed like a good place to start. So,
well, I think that you've definitely done a good job at coming out with a product that people enjoy. We were talking a little bit earlier, and I've told you that even locally here in Frederick, I see your product on the shelves when I'm walking around. So that's always great.
Yeah.
I've obviously seen it in a lot of tasting rooms, and you have some of our member distilleries represented there who are carrying your products, and I'm sure you'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
So what was the idea that kicked it from, hey, this is something we're doing in our home that we enjoy doing, to let's become professional?
Yeah. So I mean, a couple of things. One, we started experiment. So we did a bunch of experiments during, while we were part of this group. And then we also threw a couple of little like pop-up dinners with friends to not just test it on ourselves, but on other people. And then, when my daughter was born, I was like, you know what, this is the only chance I'm going to have to spend some time with her. Like, why don't I do this now while I get to be at home with her, kind of run this business on the side during the 3 hours of sleep that I'm getting a day. And then I ended up doing some other consulting work at the same time to, help pay the bills. But it was kind of this like, hey, if you're going to do this, do it now while you can. And then, I think if I had started it under different circumstances, it might have happened a little bit faster, but it took us about a year to go from, okay, I'm going to quit my job, to like having it on the first shelf. But it was a really awesome learning process. And then from there, I think we've actually like really embraced our local distillery community here. I think one of the great things about shrubs is their versatility, and they're great for cocktails. Sometimes people kind of get weirded out by the fact that you're putting like vinegar in a drink. Most people think like vinegar, salad dressing. But if you sort of ignore the fact that it's vinegar and just say, hey, like think about typical cocktails or typical non-alcoholic drinks, right? You want something that's got balance. You've got something that's got acidity, something that's got sweetness, something that's got bitterness, right? Like these are all sort of classic components to any typical cocktail, right? And so when you think about shrubs, instead of using lemon juice and simple syrup in a cocktail, you use our lemon mint shrub as an alternative. And it's, if you get nerdy, like there's a difference between citric acid from lemon juice and acetic acid from vinegar. And so you are going to have like a slightly different kind of like mouthfeel and experience. But at the end of the day, what's great about shrubs is they provide both that acidity and that sweetness. And then for us, the sort of the bonus is like that extra complexity from the combinations of ingredients that we use, and then the herbs and spices as well. And so with distilleries, we've got this great mixer that's made with the same kind of level and quality of ingredients that they're using. We don't compete with them. They don't compete with us. When somebody goes into a distillery, usually they want to walk away with a cocktail, right? Like when they go home, they're not always drinking their spirits straight. They're usually mixing them with something. And if they can, walk out of a distillery with both, a bottle of gin and a bottle of our lemon mint shrub, all they really have to do to make a drink is add some soda water. And so rather than juicing a lemon, making your own simple syrup, right? So
I like how you describe the balance of flavor and kind of the layers that you're getting, because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking back on my experience having drunk a cocktail with a shrub in it. And I'm also thinking back on my experience in the beer world and how those flavors get imparted. We see this huge rise in sour beer.
Yeah.
you nailed it on the head. This difference between types of acid that you're going to be tasting and how they're going to play around with the palate. So it's great because I'm thinking back and I'm like, there is like the tart characteristic you're going to get from a fresh strawberry that you might be adding to a shrub, but you're also balancing that tartness with the acid that you're getting from the vinegar. Yeah. And because they're different, they play really, really well together.
Yeah.
So I love
it's cool. And like our lemon mint shrub is really interesting because we use fresh lemons, which is citric acid, and then you've got the vinegar, which is acetic acid. So you get this really like interesting mix of both citric and acetic acid at the same time. And it's funny, like my palate has changed over time. But if you think about, the difference between citric acid versus acetic acid, it's almost like citric acid is like softer, almost more like a Merlot in terms of like thinking about wine, and acetic acid is like, it's got more of that like bite to it, like a Cabernet Sauvignon or something, right? And so sort of feels more like you almost feel like you're getting more tannins in your mouth, even though it's not that. And and now when I do like typical sour cocktails, when I mix them with just like citrus juice, it feels like flat to me, but that's just because, my palate over the last 7 years has just leaned more acetic acid than citric acid, which is...
Well, but you're also missing a pretty integral part of something that could be a lot more complex, right?
Yeah, true.
And if you're looking for an experience that's a little more rounded, not every drink that everybody wants to drink anymore is a super sweet and sour, combination of lactose and whatever else they might be putting in your glass. I think people are really looking for kind of bare bones options that are made with real flavors.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. Nice call on Cabernet Sauvignon. Today's International Cabernet Sauvignon Day for anybody who didn't know.
Oh, there you go. I knew that.
So before we get to the breadth of flavors you guys offer and how you're approaching each of those flavors, I'm kind of curious, like, did this start as something you were doing in your home, and are you like in a professional environment making it now? Or are you making it at like...
Yeah, you kind of have to be in a professional environment making it. Unless I think the rule is if you're only selling it at farmers markets, you can, still make it at home, like the cottage laws. But yeah, I mean, it started off, we had to, we actually, we started in a small kitchen and then kind of grew from there. And then we've had to kind of outsource some of the production just because of volume. And, honestly, me looking at the business myself, realizing that if I'm spending 70% of my time in the kitchen, it's probably not a good way to run a business. So, but for us, like having control over sourcing all the ingredients and making sure that, we have our hands on that part of it has always been really important to us. So
that's awesome. Is there a consumer experience? Can they come and visit an Element Shrub tasting area?
There's not, okay. But we could certainly do a virtual, like, I don't know, not tour per se, but virtual tastings, etc. So,
like a behind the scenes kind of deal.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm just curious. I had never thought about what the kind of the complementary businesses.
What the shrubbery looks like. Yeah.
What's the shrubbery? Now I have Monty Python going through my head. Thank you very much.
well, it's funny. We're actually we're launching a new gift set here.
Very cool.
Up this guy right here. So on the website it's the first time we're selling all of our products together, and I'm calling it the full Monty.
Nice.
So coming soon, TBD. But yeah, I mean, in terms of production too, one of the cool things we're doing, I don't know if it's too soon to talk about this, but so if you think about the sort of way you make shrubs, right? So it's vinegar, fruit, and sugar. You kind of mix them all together, and then you strain the vinegar that's sort of left over after everything's kind of mushed together, and then you're left with this, call it mash, right? And I think it was a year and a half ago, I proposed an idea to McClintock Distillery in your backyard to start making cordials using our shrub mash. And I mean, they've been one of our favorite people to work with, and they took on the challenge, and we've done a lot of seasonal kind of flavors with them. So we have a chai pear, they called it a spiced pear cordial, and then just recently they launched our ginger lime cordial. So if you think about sort of all the ginger liqueurs out there that are probably made with less real ingredients, this one is literally made with a bunch of fresh ginger, a bunch of fresh lime, sugar, apple cider vinegar, and then their whiskey. So
that's awesome. We were talking on the phone before this, and I mentioned that I had the blood orange saffron.
Yes, that one as well. Yeah,
the spice pear is actually in my basement waiting for holidays again, so I can so I can bang it back out and get it on the bar. I think that's an awesome collaboration, and what a great way to use that product one more time before it becomes a waste product.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for us, upcycling the environment, like sustainable packaging, like all of that's really important. And so, from the beginning, we've always been composting the fruit that we've been using, but I just thought, hey, like, let's take this a step further. And, if somebody else can use it, then great. And then they can compost it.
Are there other culinary uses for those byproducts?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I started making shrubs, I was hoping that we would be able to make, I haven't done it yet, but in theory, you could make like a jam out of it, right? Like, or even like a fruit ketchup or something, right? So,
oh, that's cool.
It's just like figuring out the process of doing it. And, but yeah, I mean, and then the other cool thing about shrubs too is, I sort of joked about people, associating vinegar with salad dressing. But because we use apple cider vinegar as the base, they actually make really awesome salad dressings and marinades, and obviously for meat, like they would not only like tenderize the meat from the vinegar, but also like add a bunch of flavor to it. So our chai pear with some honey on like a pork tenderloin.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
So think about that for the holidays.
I'm blown away by this concept of being able to utilize your byproduct, just because we see it a lot in the other industries that we represent with the breweries. You'll see grain go out the door to farms, and farmers will pick that grain up and use it as feed. Wineries are using their must for a lot of different things. And with distilleries, things that they have left over from their process, they have farmers pick that up also. So it's great to see it go somewhere else and kind of keep in line with what we're used to seeing our members doing.
And actually, I think with the cordials, McClintock is also using the tails of their whiskey, which, usually doesn't go in the bottle. And so, it's both of our waste kind of coming together for this really cool, like, zero food waste collaboration.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then what's even kind of the bonus is that, so in 2018, our chai pear won a Good Food Award, and then 2019 won a Sophie Award. And then McClintock submitted the spice pear to one of the distilling award people, and it won an award as well. So not only is it like doing good, but it also tastes pretty good as well.
It's doing well and doing good.
Yeah.
All right. So while we talk about you guys picking up hardware from really cool competitions, can we talk a little bit about what's going on right now with Element Shrub and 10 Best from USA Today?
Yes. Yeah. So this is the second year we've been nominated. So the USA Today runs an annual, I guess, sort of competition online where they sort of announce 20 different mixers. I mean, there's probably 50 different categories, but, best gin, best mixer, best rum, best, vacation spot. And for us, this is our second year in the best mixer category. Last year, we just missed first place by, I think, a couple of votes. And so if you're allowed to vote every day, you don't have to sign up for any email, newsletter, any of that. And I think, yeah, it's really easy. You just like click on the link, go to USA Today. You can search, best craft mixer, find our name, Element Shrub. Click on that, click on the blue link. There's also a direct link in our profile on Instagram that you can find. And then, and then also I know McClintock is on the list for best gin distillery. Lion Distilling's on the list for best rum distillery. And then our friends in Virginia, Catoctin Creek, are on for best rye, I think. So
we might have a little bit of a hard time with that one because we've got Sagamore on there as well.
Fair enough.
No, it's wonderful. Actually, if you are catching up with us, the 10 best link is in the comments, both on YouTube and Facebook. You can click that link directly. It'll go right to the page to vote for Element Shrub as the best craft mixer. So please show them your support. It'd be great to see them get that this year and be able to give a thumbs up to 2019. Like, hey, 2020 wasn't great, but we did this.
That's right. We need some positive news for 2020, right?
So what kind of projects do you have going on with the distilleries in Maryland? Is McClintock the only distillery you work directly with to do these kind of collaborations?
They're the only one that we do the collaborations with. Yep. And they carry our full lineup in their tasting room as well. But Lion Distilling also kind of carries our product in their tasting room, and so does Miscellaneous up in Mount Airy. And so we've always found distilleries to great partners, as I said. And so you can find us there. You can right now the easiest place to find us is on our website. We're trying to just ship as much as we can, and other than the local distilleries who are also delivering and can, I think, deliver our products as well. But to find us at a place other than a distillery, our website's probably the best spot.
How are you guys working with restrictions that you've seen since kind of COVID-19 happened? I mean, from most of the people that we're interviewing, the guest experience is limited completely. They've changed their business models by pivoting quickly to be able to deliver spirits to guests at their homes. We have direct consumer shipping here in Maryland. How has this whole thing impacted your business?
Yeah, good question. One of the benefits of us relative to probably a lot of the other companies you talk to is that we are non-alcoholic. So we don't have to deal with any of the, TTB, alcohol, like restrictions, all of that, delivering in person, not delivering in person. And so we've actually shifted towards, or we're in the process of shifting more towards a direct-to-consumer model, building up our website, focusing on that. And so I'm glad we had that set up at the beginning. And then, the other, so that was definitely a pivot for us. We've also started working with some more other larger e-commerce groups. So Bespoke Post, they do sort of monthly boxes. They just did a box with our lemon mint shrub, and then during the holidays, our grapefruit vanilla shrub is going to be in there as well. So that's exciting, and a great way to help us sort of spread the word about what we're doing with their marketing support. So
that's awesome. Aside from your website, I know that you are at various food retailers throughout the region.
Yes.
How about like relationships with on-premise restaurants and things like that? Is your product something I could go and ask for at a restaurant?
Yes. Yeah. So we work with actually the same distributor. So Bacchus,
yep.
Who's based in DC. They carry our products. So restaurants, bars that have a relationship with them can easily order our product. That's the best thing for bars in DC, Maryland, and Delaware to do. And I think even Northern Virginia. And then we also have another distributor up in Connecticut, Brescombe Barton, who handles distribution for the state of Connecticut for us. So
that's awesome.
And then we for everything online, we ship directly. And I imagine we're probably shipping to some bars that I'm not aware of because there's just a couple of people ordering a couple bottles for their bar. But yeah, so this is a 16-ounce bottle for our sort of on-premise. And then this is the sort of retail bottle.
That's awesome. So how many flavors do you have in your portfolio right
now? 10.
What's your favorite?
So this is, I believe, the full lineup, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. So we'll start here. This is backwards. Okay. So this is a cranberry hibiscus. So it's cranberry hibiscus. We also have some watermelon and basil in this as well. So the cranberry and the watermelon kind of balance each other out. And then the basil provides some sort of floral, little like spicy notes even. And then hibiscus gives it a little more floral notes as well. This is our newest flavor, peach tamarind. It's actually becoming one of my new favorites. And I think our consumer new favorites as well. It's what's cool about tamarind is that it's actually pretty sour by itself, and it almost masks the vinegar smell and taste, which sometimes throws people off when they're looking at shrubs or other kind of like vinegar products. So that one's kind of cool. This is the grapefruit vanilla. I think might be our most underrated flavor. It's like this sort of like grapefruit creamsicle, right? So it's like tart, but then I think what's cool about our products is both ingredients are pretty like familiar to people. Like people know what grapefruit is, people know what vanilla is, but they might not have had those two ingredients kind of together in something, right? Like our honeydew and jalapeno, right? Like, yeah, I love honeydew. I think I like jalapeno, but together, like that's really weird. But kind of sounds awesome. So
until you try them together, and then you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think I've always said that. Oh, flip opposite. I've always said the honeydew jalapeno is my favorite. It just kind of, I think in terms of other products out there on the market, there's nothing like this. It's got your sweetness from the honeydew. It's got a little bit of spice from the jalapeno, but you also get the fruity flavor, almost like a green pepper flavor from the jalapeno. That's really cool. And then, the acidity from the vinegar. It's just kind of this really, really cool, unique balance. But our ginger lime, which, is sort of a classic like flavor, good with everything, has just won a couple awards this year. So even though it's 4 simple ingredients, it's really, really spicy, kind of exactly what you would expect. And you can taste that spice in the in McClintock's cordial as well. It's definitely not shy on the spice. So
I'm sure that helps amp up any good Moscow Mule too.
Yes, for sure. I'm
actually loading my shopping cart as you and I are talking, because I'm dying to try some of these. I've had the opportunity to try them in the cordials from McClintock and in a couple of cocktails, but not by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, and thinking about like pairings, flavor combinations, recipes, things like that, right? So the blueberry rosemary and I've done this flip. The blueberry rosemary and the blood. This is a blood orange saffron with carrots and ginger. So it's really kind of savory and has sort of that classic like blood orange acidity, which is not that sweet navel orange juice flavor, but more almost like an Amaro kind of like bitter sweetness, right? Those two I really like as substitutes for sweet vermouth in cocktails, or splitting vermouth in like boozy drinks like Boulevardiers, Manhattans, Negronis. So those are my 2 favorites for that. The chai pear in the middle here on the bottom. I would say that if somebody walks through all of our flavors, the chai pear is the one that like immediately like just jumps out as like, oh my gosh, I have to have this right now. It's like mulling spices, really good with bourbon, whiskey, rye, dark rum, like just even like a twist of orange. Also goes really well with grapefruit juice, soda, rosemary. The lemon mint over here is just sort of that like classic sour mix. So whiskey sours, mojitos, mint juleps, right? It's kind of got that like Arnold Palmer meets mint julep kind of vibe to it. We've got the honeydew jalapeno. I mean, really good with vodka and ginger beer, really good with tequila, mezcal. I lean clear on this one in terms of spirits, but sure. And then the cranberry hibiscus is really good with vodka, with champagne, with bourbon, even with like mezcal, like the hibiscus and the mezcal and like chocolate bitters. Really, really tasty. The grapefruit vanilla, I've been using, like, it's actually really good with cold brew coffee, which sounds weird, but that
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And actually, we're doing a giveaway with this weekend with two other non-alcoholic companies, one that makes a non-alcoholic coffee liqueur and one that does a non-alcoholic stout. And we made a drink with our grapefruit vanilla and like a coffee liqueur and a stout. And man, it was awesome. Really, really cool. So
that's great.
But also really good with vodka, really good with scotch, really good with mezcal.
And it looks like your shrubs are kind of the base product for another product offering in your lineup.
What do you mean?
I'm looking online in the Shrub and Club packs.
Right. Yes. So we also have the sodas, right? Exactly. So similar but different, right? So it's sort of the ready to drink version. So if you don't want to go through the effort of, taking your soda, mixing it together, it's great in the summertime when it's really hot and you just like. To me, it almost feels like you're drinking a beer, but you're not. And it's super refreshing, less sugar than everything else out there. Real, like it's made with fresh lemons, not natural, lemon flavor.
Sure.
And but really good for spritzes and things like that. So
what do you see kind of on the horizon in the next few years for your segment and kind of what you're doing? Do you see yourselves expanding your flavor lineup? Are you constantly looking for new things to bring in and kind of take hold of flavors that people are finding to be popular?
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, right now our flavor line, like we have a lot of flavors. But I think something I do want to think about more is that focusing on that zero food waste kind of opportunity and using some other byproducts maybe to make shrubs, and not only like using our byproduct to give to somebody else, but starting with a byproduct and kind of doing some experimenting there. So
that's an awesome idea.
Yeah. And then, I think like other product, like we'll have this gift set. We're doing some other kind of collaborations with other people, things like that. So yeah, for now, I think 2 to 3 years going into COVID, like 6 months ago, I never would have been able to predict what our 2-year, plan was going to be after COVID happened. So, I think right now, like direct to consumer still seems to be strong. And, whether it's cocktails to go, I think it's sort of a similar approach, but just in a different format. Right.
Yep, I think that's great. I'm excited to see what the future holds, because I think that this is definitely going to be something that the consumer's going to have a lot more demand for once they have the experience of trying it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the other cool things that we're doing too is it actually started as a joke. A year ago, because we're called Element Shrub, we always get these phone calls from SEO companies thinking we're a landscaping company and that we need to be on the top of Google and etc. And so we started a campaign, I think last October, called Shrub for a Shrub, where we plant a tree for every bottle of shrub that we sell through our website.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, I mean, I figure like we're doing this zero food waste thing, like let's do more, right? And so it was kind of a joke at first, and it wasn't meant to be a campaign. It's meant to be an ongoing thing, but the name sort of comes from these SEO companies that did absolutely no research on us, and yet still felt like, yeah, we needed their business.
So is that's still something that you were offering for every bottle that you're selling?
Yeah, every bottle online. Yep.
So how does that work out? Do you work with like
we work with a couple, tree groups. I think One Tree Planted is one, Arbor Day Foundation. And then before COVID, I also was doing some volunteer work in kind of, we did some tree maintenance in the Anacostia region in DC. And so kind of just getting involved in the community that way as well has been, awesome. So
that's great. Yeah, my wife used to work for a government contractor that used to do some of those tree plantings in the city, and it was always really cool to go and attend those events because you saw people come together and do something great for a community. So
yeah,
can't argue any of that. I am going to put in the comments that for every bottle that you guys sell through your website, you will plant a tree.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure before I tried to entice people to help the environment and help their bellies. So. Yeah. Because you are not an alcoholic beverage manufacturer, are you allowed to make any claims associated with potential health benefits of your product?
No, that's still a like an weird FDA thing. And what bothers me so much is that, like, I don't know, the loophole around it is you can say this vinegar will cure everything, and then you can have a note on the back of the bottle that says all statements on this label are not verified.
Right.
Which, I don't know, it's a little misleading to me. But yeah, I mean, we have found, and I have had people tell me like, hey, we've used shrubs. They've helped for acid reflux. Like my pregnant wife was, had nausea and tried these shrubs. And these are just like direct, like, this isn't like medical advice. This is people telling me like, hey, we did this and this is what happened. I've always felt that for us, the goal was, creating really good flavor with really good ingredients, less sugar. We want it to feel like you're not drinking medicine, right? Like we want it to feel special occasion. After all, like we started it when my wife was pregnant. Like
you're celebrating.
It was a celebration, right? Like it was like the drink that like, hey, like I can't have a cocktail. I really want something that feels as complex and interesting. And so, and the non-alcoholic side of it has actually been really fun for me as well. Just kind of experimenting and pushing the boundaries of what kind of non-alcoholic drinks can be. Cause I think in general, they get they're generally typically too sweet. They're too watered down, and shrubs are a really awesome base for non-alcoholic drinks because they've got all of those components that we talked about, right? The acid, the sweetness, the complexity. And then, we also find a lot of our customers, like during the week, they might mix our shrubs with soda water or make non-alcoholic drinks. And then on the weekend, they mix them with spirits.
Jamie Winden from Lion.
Hey, Jamie.
Hello. She wants to make sure that you knew that she was watching. I think that this is so cool, man. I love this concept of putting so much effort into having an exceptional product that complements this growing industry. But you don't have the red tape of operating a distillery on your own. You got to pull together this passion that you had for finding great things to do with food and bring them to people. And it's really, really enlightening. I'm happy to have had a couple of minutes to chat with you this afternoon and learn all about it.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So before I let you go and before we end this, can you let people know how, aside from visiting your website where the URL's in the comments, can you tell people how to keep up with what you're doing and learn more about what you guys are up to?
Yeah. I mean, you can follow us on Instagram. So at Element Shrub, we're always posting kind of new recipes there. Our website also has kind of different web recipes. You can search by shrub flavor. You can search by spirit. You can search by non-alcoholic drinks. And yeah, I think Instagram's where we're most active. And yeah, keep an eye out for giveaways. You know, we'll be doing virtual tastings, cocktail tastings, non-alcoholic tastings, etc. And yeah, keep an eye out for these gift sets coming up for the holidays. The full Monty.
And as Charlie said earlier, you can find their whole lineup of shrubs on their website at elementshrub.com. That is Element Shrub, not plural, .com.
Correct.
And you can also find a pretty wide variety of their flavors at McClintock, at Lion, and at Miscellaneous. So please show your support to our local distilleries. When you're picking up your lovely Maryland-made spirits, consider grabbing a couple of bottles of these awesome shrubs and see how they can heighten your experience making great cocktails. Yeah. Charlie, thanks so much. Please continue all the great work and stay safe during this crazy time.
Thank you, Jim. You do the same.
To everybody viewing, thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us this afternoon. If you have any questions about this and you're watching later and not live, feel free to throw those questions in the comments, and I or somebody else will reach out to Charlie and get any answers that you might have. In the meantime, have a safe Labor Day weekend. Enjoy yourselves, and wear your mask when you're going out. Visit us at marylandspirits.org for more information, and we'll talk to you next week.